I want to do a podcast about films.
I'm not stopping you.
No, with you, you fool.
Oh, so you mean you want us to do a podcast about films?
Yes.
Well, why didn't you say that?
I did. I am.
Well, you can't say films. You need to say movies. It's a more broadly recognised term.
Yeah, don't worry about that now. Are you interested?
Well, we can't just talk about films we like. That would be boring.
Okay, then what about films we don't like?
That sounds even more boring.
Okay, how about this? Films we disagree on.
Ah, intriguing. So one of us likes it, the other one doesn't, and we discuss our opinions on the film?
I think you mean movie.
Yeah, don't worry about that now.
But yeah, that's the gist of it.
All right, I'm in.
Great.
Could still be boring, though.
You're boring.
I don't see how that's relevant.
Should we do one now? Hello and welcome to Movie the Needle, a podcast where two complete amateurs haphazardly dissect a film that one of us likes and one, well, not so much. My name's Simon, I'm joined by my good friend Carl, and we will be explaining our opposing viewpoints and seeing whether we can movie the needle for one another. This week, we are discussing the 1979 Francis Ford Coppola Vietnam War epic, Apocalypse Now. All right, Carl, how's it going? We are here again. We are back.
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're podcasting.
There we go. Yeah. So as we started last week with non-alcoholic beer, it was obviously a slippery slope, and now we're on to the hard stuff. I say hard stuff, Guinness.
Yeah, but it's LSD next week.
Yeah. And where do we go from there?
I don't know. Drugs aren't my thing, really. I've not got too much experience there.
Just an orgy.
I have to do a bit of Googling.
Yeah. On the work laptop.
See what this dark web thing's all about that one hears so much about.
Anyway, so it's been a while since we've actually recorded one of these, and you've been prioritising work over movies, which I've got a bit of an issue with, but probably for the best.
Fucking so have I, mate.
Probably for the best this week, because if we had done this on our normal day, we would have been shivering in here, because I've been out without heat for the last 4 days.
Yeah.
Leaky boiler.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's something there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. I would say brilliant service. So starts.
Okay, right. I thought you were saying it was brilliant, mate, without a boiler.
Brilliant. I mean, I'm sure we saved lots of money.
Yeah.
But
I was still paying the stand-in charge. Not able to use the freaking thing.
Freezing cold. We probably just spent about 12 times as much just heating from the gas fire in one room. But yeah. So the boiler started breaking on Sunday. So I phoned up the emergency helpline, which after a lot of ringing, someone answered and was just like, yeah, they're closed. So what I'll do is I'll leave a message for them and then I'll get it first thing on Monday and then they'll come out. It's like, not that emergency. Then it's just,
I'm just
during working hours, but fine, whatever. So the guy comes out, looks at it, takes about 20 seconds to go, oh yeah, it's this. Okay, right, okay.
Yeah. What do you ever say in that situation? Is it, yeah? Oh, I thought it was this.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah. Leaky heat exchange. Yeah, me too. I was like, okay. He's like, it's under warranty. Good. That means not expensive. Oh, you don't even need to pay for this call out. Excellent. And so then he goes, I'll phone the manufacturer, get you booked in. It's like, great. Phones him, and then you'll get a message with an appointment. Right, that comes in. They come in the next morning. Brilliant. Only going to be out of heat for a day. Fantastic. Guy comes and he goes, as soon as he's through the door, he goes, just so you know, even though we've had this guy who's already diagnosed it, we can't do anything until we confirm that diagnosis.
I did wonder if this was going to devolve into like, that's if I order the part today, which I won't.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. Yeah. So he's like, so he opens up the thing and goes, yep, leaky heat exchange, yep. So just so you know, we don't keep that part in. So, we're going to have to order it now. It's like, but you couldn't have ordered it yesterday, just on the off chance that the professional who looked at it last time was maybe right. No. He's like, well, it's not so, we're not very busy though, so it'll probably come tomorrow. What do you reckon?
Well, no.
Didn't come tomorrow. He said, you should get a message from him confirming today. Did I get a message? No.
Yeah.
I didn't. Just silence until like late at night the following day. You get a thing saying, thank you for your order. Just remember, you've got an appointment tomorrow morning. You cancel it. Let us know if your circumstances have changed. What, like fucking? I've managed to fix it myself. Yeah. What circumstances are going to have changed here?
Yeah.
Anyway, so they come eventually, and they fix it eventually, and now we are in a podcast cube room with some heat. And you came in. First thing you did?
Well, I was having just walked down here. I was warm.
So you turned the radiator down.
Yeah.
Just like, dude, it's the first bit of heat I've had all week. And you've just turned it down. But I'm sorry, I'm actually sweating my balls off.
It's warm, isn't it?
Really
Yeah.
warm.
It's going to get warmer with the incessant amount of hot air that we're about to dispense over the next hour and a half.
True story.
I've only watched one film this week.
One?
Yeah, this one.
Paul, you really have got your priorities wrong this week.
Which tells you what sort of week I've had. But I did manage to listen back to a couple of our podcasts. And I have to say that
did that put you off movies?
No, but what you want out of a film continues to perplex me.
Good, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to another fucking flip from you this week.
I like to keep you on your toes.
Also, 90% dick jokes.
90%? Which one did you listen to?
It was the Blood Diamond episode, and then I had another little listen to, I think it might be one we'd already polished up.
Yep. So if you've not listened to that episode already, and you're a fan of dick jokes, then check us out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, any episode, I'm
Literally
sure.
any episode. Yeah. There's not that many to watch. Watch, listen, whatever. Yeah. However, audio works. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't come as a surprise because our coffee chats, also chock full of dick jokes.
And I've said before, once I become immune to dick jokes, just kill me now. Like, just kill me. I don't care.
I think it was dicks in general. You were saying.
Once I become immune to dicks,
yeah,
just kill me now. I would love the immunity. I mean, I suppose it's getting your daily injection or whatever. Anyway,
immune to their charms, I suppose.
Exactly. I've watched a fair few films this week. So, continuing my education of my child, watched Jurassic Park.
How did he like it?
He very much liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had to watch it in two halves because we didn't start till late, which, not a big fan of splitting.
Was he scared?
No, he seemed fine.
Oh, really?
He's pretty tough. We watched the first, because the first half's not, it's pretty...
Yeah.
It's very much a lead-in, right?
Yeah.
It's the second half that's the scary stuff. But, I mean, it stands up, doesn't it? I mean, it's...
Oh, I love it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Even the special effects are just... They're still...
Practical effects, you see.
Well, that's it. I suppose they stand up longer. It's not some
Practical effects,
CGI dinosaur just running
yeah,
around.
which we'll talk about today. But it really does make a difference. And I kind of feel like even if you're not looking at it through that lens, when you try to see how something's held up, you can just sort of tell when you're watching a film, even if you're not actively noticing it, because they just hit different when they're practical.
Yep. What else have I seen? So I also watched Another Round.
Oh, yeah. That's not a first for you, is it?
That is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that was the first time. And I obviously nailed it as usual, so I definitely didn't screw up and lean on the controller and accidentally start an hour in.
Yes.
Yeah. And then not realise for about 25 minutes, where I was about like, what? It gets straight into the film, doesn't it? Oh, straight there. Look, it starts at part 2. That's a bit weird. Hold on. Wait, we're on part 3 now. Where's part 1 then?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
That's
Check
right.
it out. Oh, yeah. We've started an hour in. Good stuff.
You have mentioned this to me, and
it's not even the first time.
Forgiven you for it yet, and now you've reminded me.
Really enjoyed it. How much would I have enjoyed it if I'd watched it from the
beginning?
beginning?
We'll never know, will we? And that's the point.
No. And until the dementia sets in, and then I can rewatch it again.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, a few years' time, I guess. And what else have I watched? What else have I watched? Yeah, so I watched this film, but I also watched Platoon as a little comparison, which I'm sure we'll talk to later. So I've had that film, right, on my DVD shelf, and before you get thinking, what this huge library of DVDs that Simon has. No. It's about 9 of them, because generally I don't buy DVDs now, because I generally rely on the old streaming or downloading, renting, buying side of things.
Yeah.
And then anything I do watch, if I've got no intention to watch it again, I tend to just palm it off, get rid of it, exchange it, whatever. So Platoon I've had on my shelf, I think 10 years.
So you've not seen it before?
No.
Wow.
And guess how I watched it?
Well, The only point of reference I can think here is on a plane, but that would be weird.
No. Well, the DVD that I had for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it on Prime. Yeah. So still unwatched, that DVD.
Yeah. Is it in its wrapper still?
No, I probably was optimistic. I was like, I'll buy this. I'll watch it straight away, unwrap.
That means it's only worth £1 instead of $3.
Yeah. And plus, I probably bought it secondhand to begin with. Let's face it. But yeah, and then I also watched Heart of Darkness, which is a documentary about this film, which is very good.
Yeah, I managed to squeeze that in as well. So
you did.
Slightly disingenuous, I guess, when I said I've only watched one film this week.
Yeah. And have you got? What's been going on with you? Anything good?
No, just
just incessant work.
Just the incessant work, and then squeezing this watching.
And I guess a quick Cafe Nemesis update. They've put up a shelf.
Cafe Nemesis.
Yeah, the cafe down the road that is my nemesis.
Oh, that's not open yet.
It's still not open.
Yeah,
but they have put up a shelf.
What are you doing then? You're just pressing your face against the glass.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
If they've got CCTV, they'll just be like, watch it. Not that you would watch
they won't
back your CCTV, would you? You'd just be sitting there just going, oh. Rather than actually getting my cafe open, what I'll do is I'll watch the CCTV to see who's looking in. Ooh, potential customers. A shelf's gone up, which is helpful. So progress.
What are we talking, like behind the bar?
Yeah. behind the bar. Yeah,
long shelf, high shelf.
It's like
deep?
a wire rack shelf thing. Yeah, pretty deep.
Yeah, they all have their uses, don't they?
Shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think they're going to put on it?
Oof, now
Things?
you're talking stuff. I would say.
Yeah,
stuff or items. I would go for
items. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, potentially things. We'll see. Before we move on to the film, have we got any apologies or corrections? You've re-listened to a couple. Is there anything we need to...
Do you know, I mean, almost certainly. Have I remembered them, organised enough to have catalogued them? No.
So just say sorry.
Yeah. We're just
generally, as usual.
We're sorry.
Sorry.
You felt that way.
Sorry we made you feel that way.
You all were sorry we made you feel that way.
We're not sorry for the actual thing we said. We're just sorry that that's the way you feel.
Yeah.
They're the best apologies, right?
I think that's the standard now, isn't it? That's how it's done.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy with that.
Good. All right, let's get on to the movie this week, which is Apocalypse Now. So again, as we usually do, just a reminder of the rating scale here. So it's a simple 5-point scale. Really don't like, ambivalent, like, really like. And there is a maximum 4-point differential that we can have on these. The really like to really don't like. Rare, but
yeah, there's a couple
possible.
Of them kicking around, isn't there?
They are there. So let's get on to how we feel about where this film falls on the rating for each of us. Carl?
Look, I know you want 3 or 4 words out of me at this point.
Oh, God.
Really, the thing
really
is,
just the rating.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know, right? So I had this down as I like this film, and then I watched it, and I think I might really like this film.
Well, that's good.
But it might just be that I think it's a very good film, and I still actually just like it.
Yeah, this is kind of going to be similar to where I'm going with
so
this.
I haven't fully formulated that thought yet, but let's say I am somewhere in between liking it and really liking it.
So this simple 5-point scale, we're now having a half, are we?
It's now a 10-point scale, baby.
Good. Right, so I don't like this.
Unless you want to go half, and then we can resolve it back down to a whole number.
No.
All right.
No, I like to play by the rules.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like this film. So we've got a potential 2 to 2.5.
2.5, yeah.
Point swing, which is good. And I think the key differentiator here is whether I like this film compared to do I think it is a good film or a good, well-made movie. And I think that's going to be the key differentiator as we talk through this. I originally watched this a few years ago when I was completing the IMDb Top 100. And it was one of those I was really looking forward to. Like you look at it, you look at the ratings on it, you look at it and you go like, this is going to be brilliant. Just carve out the 2.5 hours, because I think I watched the
79 cut theatrical.
Yeah. It's obviously considered a classic. Like it's on list after list, whatever list you look at in terms of anything, it's on there. But I struggled with it back then. Like I distinctly remember struggling and flagging towards the end to the point of just like I might fall asleep, and that was the issue. And I was like, I'm quite looking forward to giving this another go. I might have just been tired, right? I might have just been sleepy. Might have been a thing. So no spoilers. We'll see how that went.
All right. Worth pointing out, because I don't think we have yet, we both watched the final cut version.
Yes, not the original theatrical release, not the Redux.
Not the Redux, no.
It was the final cut, which not that easy to find. I had to get the old free.
You say it's not that easy to
trial.
find.
Well, you can find it. It's not easy to find for free on stuff that you already stream with. Yeah.
And again, I think I'll pick you up on that as well. You said it's not that easy to find for free. Did you pay for it?
Well, no, because I got the free Prime and free Studio Canal thing. Yeah.
And that was what, like 2 clicks to set in motion?
Yeah, all right, fine.
Yeah, okay. Right, cool.
Fairly easily.
Yeah. All right. So we watched the final cut version. And there's a reason I wanted to watch that one, which will definitely come up in production or plot. So, we'll be talking about some differences from the theatrical cut, and I think when everybody thinks about it and it gets put on all those lists, people are talking about the theatrical cut.
So if we start talking about scenes, you're like, what are you talking about? That isn't even in there. That's probably why.
Redux comes in for a bit more flack. That has a much more sort of cult following than a more widely revered.
Honestly, couldn't pay me enough to watch the Redux after this.
Well, I'm sure that's not true.
Actually, good point. Please send your money.
Yeah. But that being said, this is a classic, and not just of the genre, but of cinema history. And when I watch it, for me, it's absolutely obvious as to see why, and you can see why, I think, after a minute in that opening scene. The sound design on this film is absolutely epic. And
careful. You know what you're talking about there.
Well, only because it sounds a bit like surreal and weird the way the helicopter blades are punctuating the soundtrack and everything. And it opens up with that weird sound, and then we have a fantastic practical effects explosion scene in the beginning. It's just absolute cinematic gold, and I think as the film unfolds, it does a really good job of just showing the absurdities and futilities of war. I find that a really engaging thread. I really enjoy that it's not just some jingoistic war film.
Yep.
So you put all that together, I just think you've got a classic that had this really far-reaching impact on pop culture. It's parodied again and again and again on all sorts of things.
And misquoted,
Yeah, and misquoted, or paraphrased, let's say. From Tropic Thunder, Hot Shots, even on, I was looking up Animaniacs, do something. I mean, the list of where this pops up is just
it's definitely entered the psyche of the public's psyche, whatever the phrase is.
It's got iconic lines. It's got huge characters. Really, really great. Just cinematic magic.
Yeah, I mean, I am quite possibly going to sound like a completely basic bitch with the things I don't like or fail to appreciate. But there we go. That's how this rolls. There are, however, some good bits to this. I'm definitely not going to be like,
well, that's big
this is awful or anything like that. So I'm actually looking forward to covering those because there's plenty to go at. Before we get to the cast, quick question for you. Director's cuts. Where do you sit on them generally? Are there any that actually have significantly improved a movie that you've seen?
Godfather 3, Coda.
Oh, yeah.
And that was just a little bit tighter. Which worked for it. Other than that, I'm honestly struggling to remember. I think a big problem with this is DVDs. You've already touched on it. We used to consume film through DVDs, which
do the extras,
would include those extras. And these days, they're a lot harder to come by. And when I was in that age of watching DVDs, I'd be too young to really appreciate what's good and not about director's cut. So, I don't know really.
No, be fair. You're still not able to do that.
Oh, yeah. No, that is fair.
Be fair on your younger self.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones that cropped up to me immediately were the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which you've not seen, right?
No,
not seen it. So they're certainly longer. Whether they really add anything, I would still watch those versions if I had the spare 3.5, 4 hours.
I mean, I think
to do that.
It's worth remembering they're not for the regular movie-going audience, are they? They are fans of the film. So,
and they really did hit the right moment with the old DVD and the extras and things. Really hit that. I think if we were in a VHS time or now, I don't think that would have got as much traction. And then there's like Blade Runner, which I thought might be the correct answer that has actually improved it. Although I'm not massively familiar with the original versus a final cut. But yeah. And then obviously famously more recently, the old Snyder cut, released the Snyder cut of Justice League. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen a Snyder cut. I mean, has it been released? Have they actually released the Snyder cut? Have you not? I mean, I find it unlikely it's going to have unturdified that movie sufficiently anyway, unless he literally
what?
Unturdified.
Turdified, right? Yeah.
Look it up. It's a word.
That'll go on a t-shirt.
Yes. The one I haven't seen when I was looking at this was Kingdom of Heaven, which I've seen the theatrical version. I saw that at the cinema, and I did not enjoy that film. But apparently the director's cut makes it almost a completely different film. That's a Ridley Scott. He's quite well known for his old director's cuts.
Yeah, and brash as he is, not listen to anyone else about it as well, which I suppose, in fairness, is the point of a director's cut. To keep this on topic for today, I had or have that on DVD, but have never watched it. Ooh. So that is my Platoon. I wonder if my copy of the DVD includes a director's cut. I'll have to.
I wonder if you'll actually watch it or you'll just stream it.
Well, it's going to be stuck in the attic somewhere. So.
Oh, wow, okay, right. Not even on display. Okay, let's move on to the cast. It's a bit of a sausage fest, isn't it? Not a lot of female characters have any agency in this one.
I mean, Ward does tend to be a bit of a sausage fest, especially back in those days.
Yeah, serving the patriarchy. It's disgraceful. Don't know how you can like this film, Carl. It's obscene. Just there to serve the male characters, aren't they? The women that appear in this.
That would be one take on it. Yeah.
I'm not going to pursue that any further, by the way. I just wanted to throw it in there. So what's your general feeling on the cast as an ensemble?
It's pretty stacked, especially when you look into the minor roles. Like, I mean, Harrison Ford turns up.
Before he was Harrison Ford, really.
Yeah, wasn't he...
He'd just done American Graffiti.
Yeah, wasn't he actually credited as something else in the original release? I might be getting mixed up with another cast member who's sort of making one of their, not necessarily the debut, but a really early outing in this film. But I liked it, and obviously having watched Hearts of Darkness like you... We know that other people
could
were
have been very different,
and wouldn't it?
They basically approached every single actor that was big at the time.
Yeah, absolutely,
which is pretty funny.
But yeah, in general, I thought there was a lot to like. I have only appraised 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
Okay, who's your first?
Well, Sheen.
Yep.
And
That's Captain Willard.
Yeah, my main note for Martin Sheen is what a voice.
Yeah,
he has got. Incredible delivery it gives him on his narration, on his lines as the character in the film. I really liked Martin Sheen in this film.
So I read that some of the voiceover, the narration, isn't even him.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of his brothers. Who had to stand in for some reason.
Wow. Good trivia.
And obviously a lot of his back shots in this aren't him either.
Yeah. after the old heart
attack.
The near fatal heart attack.
Man up, come on.
I mean, he's sounding a lot like Coppola now.
Yeah, that was very funny. I'm pretty sure he'd be fine. It's not a major heart attack. Just come and do like the quiet scenes where you're just standing about what you need to. Fine.
He's had a heart attack. Marty's had a heart attack.
Don't tell anyone.
Francis doesn't believe him. I thought it was good. What do you think to his performance in this then?
Yeah, I thought he was good. I mean, he has quite the range to cover from when we first
I was going to say that
to the sort of mid, especially I think in this version that we watched, he actually he smiles occasionally.
Yeah, a couple of cheeky moments in there, but he has got a long way to cover. You know, he has a literal and metaphorical journey to undergo right throughout this film, and he has to sort of balance that with that bewilderness, and then obviously he's got to deal with all the horrors he sees. And when he does turn, and it sort of takes over him. He still has to maintain a little bit of humanity as well at the end. So it is quite a big role.
Yep.
I thought he was pretty good in it.
Yeah, could have been Harvey Keitel.
That would not have worked.
Well, it didn't, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, you struggled to see that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even Harvey Keitel back then.
Yeah. No, just totally wrong for it.
No.
And Al Pacino was another one that he tried to get.
Who was basically like, no.
Well, and do you know what as well? Like Al Pacino then with his silly high voice, like "Never get out of the boat, cake" or whatever. Right? I wouldn't have worked.
Absolutely goddamn right.
Yeah, but Al Pacino later, absolutely goddamn right. No, whatever. He's got a bit more. Well, no, but he's got a bit more like a bit more sort of flavour to the character. But can you imagine like the Godfather era?
I would quite like to see it, I'll be
Pacino,
honest.
yeah.
It'd be quite funny. But yeah, he's good. You can't go there. I mean, some of it, having watched Heart of Darkness, a lot of this is just like, were they actually acting at any point in this movie? Like, that is the kind of thing that I'm going to keep going back to. It's just like, sometimes you're a bit like, is this acting?
I know. It's really... It's
and also,
really
is this filmmaking? You appear to have just made up as you went along.
Yeah. I think, though, if you ever read stuff, and this goes for small films, it goes for absolutely massive Hollywood blockbusters, it's actually amazing a film ever gets made at all. Because they're always so fraught with problems, and they're almost never what the artist envisaged them to be, because they've had to make loads of concessions and deal with loads of stuff. So I think this is fairly normal.
This is one of many reasons why I could never be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you. Where do you sit on the spectrum of having to work strictly to a plan versus making it up as you go along and happy to just go with the flow and adapt?
No, I like a plan, I have to say. But then, equally, like he's an auteur, isn't he? In that he's writing it, he's like the exec producer and all the rest of it as well. So
he does not come across well in Hearts of Darkness to me.
No, I mean he was like going crazy, was he?
And he's a director, darling.
I think the point I was making is, if you've got complete creative control in the way he did and the way Nolan does on his films, stuff like that, then I think fair enough, a plan's a bit less important because you can riff off it like that.
I couldn't live life like that.
No,
just not knowing day to day. Like I need to have a plan and at least a backup plan and some sort of mitigation in place. That's fine.
I mean, it did nearly kill him.
Yep. He was a thin man by the end of this film.
Yeah, he lost a lot of timber, didn't he?
Put it back on. Like a champ.
Yeah, like a pro.
Yeah.
What about Brando?
So, Brando. Colonel Kurtz. Or Lethally, as he wanted to change the name of the character to, because Kurtz wasn't right for him.
He was mad by this point, Brando.
He's a bellend, isn't he? I mean, just everything that is bad and worse about actors and Hollywood and over this self-important arsehole.
But that being said, what he ends up putting on screen...
Not for me.
The thing I've got after Sheen's "What a voice," I've put, "What a weird voice." Right.
He's a weird man.
He is a weird man, but do you know what? That works for me so well for what they've set up throughout the whole film for Kurtz. At that point, he's basically just got they've done all the legwork for what his character needs to be, and he just needs to rock up and be weird, coming very naturally to Brando at that age.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's...
I mean, he's literally playing a madman, right?
Yeah, yes, but I don't know. I found it really... I don't know, infuriating the way that he was played. I don't know how much it was how he was played or how all his scenes were shot, which I just found irritatingly arty and...
Yeah, most have said iconic, but yeah, you go off. And
I don't know, you say he was perfectly set up. I found it a little bit anticlimactic, if anything, when they got to him. I was expecting a bit more. I don't know. I don't know what. I really struggled with this. I basically, when in my notes, right, I was like, the way he plays him was so ... and I couldn't finish that sentence because I don't know, but it just annoyed me.
Well, let's put a pin in that note because we'll touch on that in production.
Okay.
But if I were to sum him up in one line and why I think he delivers, he's playing a character that's intense and unbalanced, and I think he comes across as being very intense and unbalanced. But we can talk about the anticlimactic bit later.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about his Belendery. $1 million advance and then still threatens not to show up.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, just $3 million salary for, in theory, 3 weeks' work.
Yeah.
And still he's just a complete nightmare on it. Essentially just wrecking, delaying everything, and turns up massively overweight. Which I think watching the thing was partly why they shot it in shadows.
Oh, it's exactly why they shot it. Yeah, the way they shot it. Not just turns up massively overweight, then insists that concessions are made to deal with that because he's shy about it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, $3 million. Did you consider pulling your finger out, Marlon? Maybe, I don't know.
Isn't it funny when you call him just Marlon? Not
yeah,
Brando?
A lot less menacing.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, Marlon.
Yeah.
It just comes to Emmerdale, doesn't it, really, for us lot? But
what do you shorten Marlon to? Marl?
Marl. No, it doesn't work.
You're right, Marl? Yeah.
Lonnie.
M.
Yeah, definitely go with the Neil. Definitely go with the Brando. But yeah, and it hadn't done his homework either. Hadn't read the source material, so hence why he was like, Kurt, bit of a stupid name in it.
Yeah, and Dennis Hopper was getting all the shit for that as well. And he hadn't obviously done his homework either, but you just know that Coppola was giving Hopper Brando's share of the bullshit as well, so he didn't upset Brando.
Oh, I mean, let's talk about Hopper. Not in it for long.
No,
doesn't do a lot. Really irritating for me.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It probably, you know, his character is a bit wacky and
100%. So like. All of these characters are on their same journey, right? Into madness. Kurtz is very much a man of action. So when he goes mad, that results in him becoming this like warlord, godlike figure, right? That's his final form. Hopper, not a man of action at all. So when he goes through this, he's a sycophant. He's just a cult
spouting
member.
nonsense.
Yeah, just absolutely spouting nonsense. And like Kurtz doesn't like him. He doesn't like that character. You can tell he's annoyed by him.
Again, was that the character not liking him? Was that Brando not liking him?
It could
so
be.
They were like, let's say they don't like each other.
It could be, but they're just. I think it's just another character that just demonstrates how you can just damage people in different ways. I thought for again, they end up at different points, but he is playing an intense, unbalanced character really pretty well. I've not seen loads of Dennis Hopper in, but I thought he was pretty decent in this.
Mm-hmm. Yep, no, that's fair. Who else did you have on your list of, what did you say, 5?
I got 5, yeah. So I've got Robert Duvall.
Oh, yeah.
Who is just, iconic in this. He's absolutely, right.
Highlight for me.
And here's the thing. He is this is 2 years after The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah.
And the performance he delivers for the character as Tom Hagen is like poles apart from Kilgore. And he just absolutely nails it. He's an absolute psychopath. Yeah. And he's got a great performance in it, I think.
Name's a bit on the nose, isn't it?
Well, it is a bit, yeah. Do we find out his
Bloody
first
Murder?
name?
Colonel Bloody Murder? We go for that? No? No, I think it's just...
Murder, probably.
Yeah. Lieutenant Colonel, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's basically it. Lieutenant Colonel. That's it. That's literally his first name. I felt he was one of the few characters that brought that fun and enjoyment in those scenes in a weird way, like not in a like zany.
He's an absolute psychopath.
Yeah.
He purports to have
very
like
watchable. That was the section of the film where I was most like in it and engaged in watching it, and you could see what they were going for there. And he gets one of the iconic quotes, misquoted, paraphrased, yeah. Don't include the 3 dots today to include.
To include another 6 lines of dialogue in between.
Yeah, exactly. So he does love the smell of napalm in the morning. What smell do you love in the morning?
Coffee.
Is there another answer you can give that doesn't make you sound weird?
I don't. It's not a question I've given a lot of thought to.
Just
be honest.
Try and think of another answer.
Coffee's acceptable. Yeah, no.
Either you're going to reveal something that you don't want to.
What could you reveal, though?
Stale cum.
All right.
No, just potentially.
Yeah, potentially.
Smells like victory.
You had another wank, Simon.
Maybe.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So, yeah, napalm, second on the list of coffee, I'd say, in Family Fortunes.
Yeah, stale come third.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I also appreciated his delivery of the line, right? Someday this war is going to end. And, right, it's not even the end of a sentence. Like, he was just like, he's there and he just goes, yeah, that'll do.
Oh, it's a great delivery. I've got some thoughts on that for later.
Okay.
I did like that line.
But no, his scenes were probably the highlight of the movie for me.
His timing's really good as well, because there's a bit where he has the line to go, any guy that can hold his guts in like that can drink out of my canteen. And he can't get the line out because somebody's talking over him, right? But he doesn't lose the focus. He just keeps saying it and he gets cut off again. He says it again, he gets cut off again. And he's just like, no, I'm going to get this fucking line out. And when he gets it out, he's waited for the silence and he absolutely nails it. He's really good performance. I liked him a lot. And then he immediately fucks off the guy drinking out of his canteen. What, a surfer?
Yes.
No, I don't really have any morals. I just like to make out that I do because I'm a psychopath.
Famous surfer. Who knew that was a thing?
Yeah, they love it in the old West Coast, don't they?
Yeah. I know, it's just like, there are such things as famous, I suppose there is. I suppose it's
back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, if you're in California or whatever, yeah. Fair enough.
My last one is Larry Fishburne.
Yeah.
Who's 14?
That's the oldest 14-year-old you've ever seen in your life,
I know
it?
he's playing a 17-year-old in the film.
19, isn't he?
Oh, is it 19?
Yeah,
they say,
19, yeah.
But 14?
Yeah.
And he's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Clean. I don't know what his actual name is, but
Mr.
his nickname's Clean. Is it Mr. Clean?
It's Mr. Clean to you, yeah. And everybody else. That's what they introduce him as.
Yeah, obviously lied about his age to get the part.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Brings a lot of energy to that.
Really good.
Really good. Yeah,
really
14-year-old. You see some 14-year-old actors in movies nowadays. They can't do shit.
No, and actually, I'll peek behind the curtain. I couldn't miscast him. Recast him. I couldn't recast him.
You could definitely miscast him. Yeah.
Because actually, not too dissimilar to what you've just said, I could not think of another young actor that was working class, because he was painfully working class in it, which suited his part so well. And I just kept thinking of these snotty nose, like, oh, no, they wouldn't be able to deliver what he just delivered in that film.
No, exactly.
He was great. He really, really good.
Two more minor characters were on the boat. So the surfer dude himself.
Sam Bottoms.
Yep.
Sadly deceased at 52.
I'm not surprised, the amount of
drugs.
Jesus. Like, again, no acting.
Nope.
Literally nothing. He was literally off his face for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you could kind of tell. Like, it was just...
Well, they asked him in the documentary, didn't they? You did a lot of... smoked a lot of dope.
Yeah, and...
acid. Oh, yeah, and then speed.
Speed, I was on
late
speed
nights.
for the bridge scene. Yeah.
Nights.
Just like, okay. And he was... The way he was... again, just... I really hated everyone in that documentary. You just go like, oh, this is what is wrong with the world at this point in time. But that was like looking back, I don't know, it must have been like 20 years later, was it? That documentary, actually, with all the interviews and stuff?
Oh, yeah, it's a good point. I don't know when it came
out. But yeah, he was, he didn't really do a lot apart from sit on a boat, be stoned and then...
Yeah, again, and I don't know how much of this is intentional, but again, I think his character is there to represent that side of things. Because there'll have been soldiers just like him, in the same way that there was working class kids coming out of estates like Mr. Clean who thought, this is going to be great. I get out of the neighbourhood, get away from all that, and we're just going to go have fun in a foreign country, just smoking dope all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good.
And then last one, chef.
Yeah.
Say chef?
Yeah, chef, yeah.
When I wrote it, I was like, wait, should that be chief?
The saucier.
The saucier, yeah. I feel like he's given quite a little bit of character development in this for what is essentially, a second-tier character in this. One of the more sort of rounded ones and a very convincing, like, I've had enough of this shit kind of thing. Like,
he was wound too tight for Vietnam.
Yes,
probably wound too tight for New Orleans.
He was. He finally got his dream though. He got head chef at the end.
You think that was intentional?
I'm gonna say
Or is that
no.
just one of your
I'm gonna say
delightful
that-
little puns?
I'm going to say that Coppola's not a fan of puns.
No, probably not.
No, I don't think he's going to.
He's wound too tight for puns.
He is wound too tight for a lot of things, I think. But yeah, that's anyone else you got?
No, I haven't got anyone else.
So we come to the recasting
Oh, yes.
then. So Emily Blunt, where's she going?
Yeah, well, for Mr. Clean, and I've actually written it down. I've put. I don't know enough young working class actors to recast, so Emily Blunt.
I thought you might have recast as one of the Playboy bunnies. You know,
No,
just
no.
Just to
She's
get her,
bigger than that,
get
please.
her in there. She's bigger than that, is she?
Yeah,
Don't know, they're pretty big.
she's a big star.
So who did you have?
Well,
Apart from Emily Blunt?
because I think so many of these have absolutely nailed their characters and actually are iconic characters. I did find this a little bit difficult. So for Willard, I was looking for somebody who has that range and could do the sort of the weather starting to fall apart, but yet still got a bit of competence about. The names I came up with were Sean Penn, Kiefer Sutherland, and Robert Patrick.
Robert Patrick. Okay,
Yeah, T1000.
yeah.
I was Doggett in X-Files.
Yes, I was watching him in Reacher. He's a
yeah.
bad guy in season 2 of Reacher, right? And there's a moment where he's on the phone and he goes, "Sarah Connor? Who the fuck is Sarah Connor?" I was just
Nice.
nice.
Nice, meta. Or, of course, his best role, Davy Scatino in The Sopranos.
Yeah, a big gap in my watching.
That's
viewing
a
thing.
hell of a gap.
I know.
That's a hell of a gap.
But you know what it is about Sopranos, and there's a couple of others like that. I didn't get on on the ground floor thing, and I didn't even get on in the middle. I waited till 9 seasons of Sopranos.
So
Eight, nine?
you're struggling at how to get into it because you didn't get in on the ground floor.
No.
That's a shame
It's-
because if you'd have stuck with
it's-
that line, that comes up in the first episode of The Sopranos.
Is it?
Would have been nice.
No, unfortunately not. No, but it's quite daunting. A quite daunting road ahead of you. And I know it's meant to be amazing. I know it's awesome, and I will enjoy it. But yeah, there's a lot of time if you've got to set aside what.
It's absolutely awesome, and you can trace. But it basically brought movie level production to the small screen. And you can trace back all the good series and the way they're produced now to that is fantastic. But we're not talking about
Back
that.
to the
TV.
recasting. Sorry, we did get a little bit sidetracked. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting the recasting because they literally approached everyone, as we said.
Yeah.
Because there's no one left to recast that wasn't already approached.
Wouldn't go for any of the ones they approached there, let me tell you.
Not for Willard, no. Well, for the Colonel, you got any for Kurtz?
Well, who did you have for Willard?
I didn't have
Okay.
any. No, I didn't have anyone.
So Kurtz, again, I'm looking for somebody that's intense, unbalanced. They've lost all humanity. So I'm looking at Christopher Walken or John Malkovich.
Yeah. See, I thought Jack Nicholson would have been good. I quite liked his because he was reeling off the ones you go. Oh, well, if he's not going to do it, then we'll get. And he listed Redford. No,
not for Kurtz.
No,
he could have done Willard. Redford could have done Willard.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to set in time when this was and what he was doing. Then, maybe,
Yeah, I think he'd be good for it. But
Would
yeah,
he be
not for Kurtz.
Do you mean too old at that point?
Maybe, yeah, probably.
Pacino, he mentions again for Colonel Kurt. No,
it's not right.
Again, maybe in 20 years or something. When he, but still,
they chopped their arms off just when I thought I was out. They pulled me back in.
I thought Jack Nicholson could be quite
no. So I thought
very different.
Well, this is the thing. I thought about Nicholson, and I thought he is too sort of smug and self-aware. Nicholson, he's got that sort of he plays everything with this grin, and didn't work for me. Nicholson. I wanted someone who was properly mental.
I feel like he could have you see him at the end or end of The Shining.
Yeah.
No, that style of Nicholson performance. I think he could have got
he's
it.
He's still a bit too maniacal there, though.
Yeah, I kind of wanted a little more maniacal. Just a little, not over the top maniacal, but just a little more look in his eyes and he's a dangerous man, not
I like the understated broken man. That's how I like my mentally ill soldiers. Thank you very much.
I thought you were going to say boyfriends.
What about Mr. Clean? Do you have anyone for that?
No.
And we probably can't put Emily Blunt in there. Dennis Hopper's character, the journalist, the reporter.
I didn't have anyone for him.
I've got Walken again for the same reasons.
Yeah,
and actually, Walken's probably a better fit for the journalist than he is for Kurtz.
Yeah, I could definitely see Walken there. Yeah.
Now, Duval, there is an open goal here.
No, keep him.
Yeah, you say that, and then I'm going to say the name, and you're going to go, oh,
go
yes. On him. Now, the first name I came up with was Gene Hackman. He's not the open goal.
Right.
But Gene Hackman is, I believe him in everything he does. He's fantastic. And I could definitely see him.
As a surfer.
I don't know about a surfer, that's a fair point. Yeah. But I could definitely see him just massacring the village.
Yeah.
Right.
Get that angle.
But the open goal, and it's an open goal because this guy has quite clearly watched that performance and gone, I'm going to bring that character to every single fucking film, is Ed Harris.
Yes. Yeah, actually, definitely Ed Harris. Yeah. He's got a bit of a look of
he looks the same. He sounds the same.
Yeah.
He brings that intensity to everything.
Oh, yeah. I'm on board with that.
Yeah, that uncompromising.
I mean, I wouldn't recast him.
No, you can't. You're not going to better it.
No. But yeah. Okay.
Ed Harris, he could do the job.
Good one. You're good at this game, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, let's move ourselves on to the production. A lot to get your teeth into here, I'd say. I'm going to start with the thing I've kind of already mentioned a little bit, that it seems like a lot of the creative decisions were definitely due to them being mandated by the complete fuck-uppery that was ongoing, which part of me is like, well, fair play to you. You've adapted and you've made a film that at least functions as a movie. Well done.
Whereas you'd be in the corner crying, going, what about the plan? Coppola.
Why are my helicopters flying away?
After a tantrum, Coppola has had a can-do attitude. He's found solutions.
I've said before that the Brando scenes are the ones I have the most issues with because of the shadowy arty-farty framing to hide his giant overindulged gut with the random unscripted nonsense that's spouting out of his face hole that basically is just incomprehensible shit and sold as like, oh, it's very deep and meaningful.
I don't think it has to be deep. I think it's the ramblings of a madman.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You may have discovered this. I do kind of like to understand what's going on.
Sometimes.
On screen. Yeah. Okay. Today, I like to understand what's going on screen. I think I've been fairly consistent with the understanding part.
Fucking, I don't. we can talk about that more later.
To a point. But yeah, what's your big take home message for the production?
Oh well, I mean, I've touched on a lot of it in my opening statement. So the sound.
Well, don't repeat yourself.
Is fantastic.
It's long enough already.
Yeah, right. I'm prone to repeat myself. Sorry about that. The sound's amazing. I think because it grabs you. And it just gives it this really eerie and surreal quality. Yeah. Also, the use of music as well, more than just the actual sound design. The pieces they choose are great. Like I said it before as well, the practical effects are just awesome, and there are loads of good ones in here. But also, like, just some of the framing. Like, some of those close shots on the boat. There's one where Willard is reading, and the sweat is just pouring off him. And it just looks so uncomfortable.
Again,
in that moment,
not acting, not anything.
No,
they are just an unbearable heat. But I broke that down as well. That I was like, you feel the oppressive heat and the oppressive conditions and everything.
Yeah,
which again, I don't think they were like spraying people with water and like going, oh, we really need to make you look a bit sweatier here.
Yeah.
They're just going like, yeah, you're a sweaty mess. Cool.
Yeah,
let's go.
And like the bit again similar to. What you've just said, it's not really acting. The bit where Sheen's absolutely fucking hammered, he's pissed as fuck in the hotel room, and he accidentally punches the mirror, and basically has that breakdown and rubs the blood, and they just roll with it. But what they get out of it is fantastic. It's really engrossing. It just pulls you in. It really does. Like you say, you feel it. You feel what's on screen.
Yeah, I mean, from the start with the helicopters that transition to the fan in the room as well. Like it's very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I come, and it doesn't matter, right? Because you don't know how films are shot unless you watch a documentary. Like what's on screen is what's on screen. Some of it does feel like cheating. It's like you've not tried to do this, and you've claimed credit for it. You know, it's that sort of thing. But what do you think of helicopters, Carl? Fan of helicopters?
I mean, I've been in a helicopter once. That was fun.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've been in a helicopter once.
Yeah?
Wasn't that fun?
No?
No.
Go on.
Really needed a shit. So this was going over the Grand Canyon.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So absolute bucket list thing for some people. Yeah. And on your mind.
Yeah. So they did the whole, like, the big reveal. They put the music, the 2001 Space Odyssey music, the big build up, and then as he got over the trees and I'm just like, really need a shit. Just please make this end. Just really, really to go. Not been in a helicopter since.
No.
Many shits though.
Yeah. It's expensive, to be fair.
What, shitting?
Yeah. Well, no, I meant the helicopter.
Well, you're doing it wrong. There are a lot of helicopters in this.
Yeah, well, it's the air cav, mate. It's the air cav.
The first half is 50% helicopter shots. Could they have, just smoothed it out a little bit? Just cut me 3 minutes off and just go like, yeah, helicopters.
Yeah, helicopters. Yeah,
got it. But I'm going to keep coming back to the documentary again. It's just hilarious, the shit that they had to deal with.
Yeah.
Like the Filipino government, that they got these helicopters.
Oh, sorry, lads, we've got a war on now.
Yeah, we've got to go fight an insurgents here. Sorry. Yeah. Back in he's just like, what? Okay, I guess we'll shoot some ground shots now.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny. I mean, I said earlier, I think it's just normal. Obviously, the scale of their disruptions was not normal. But I do think that when you do any reading, it is pretty normal to have to solve multiple problems on the fly. These were just extreme.
I normally obviously wouldn't know any about any of this stuff as well. It's just, I know this is turning into a bit of a joint discussion of the movie and also the documentary about making the movie. But they go, like, I would advise anyone who's seen this film to watch the documentary 100%. As well.
Yeah,
because I think it adds a lot of depth and intrigue, I think, to it as well.
Absolutely. So going back to the production of the film.
Oh yeah.
I said at the start I like that it is not some jingoistic war film, and I think it is based on a book of a literal journey down a river.
Not about the Vietnam War.
No, and a descent into madness. But I think that is such a good plot device for something like that. And I liked the way that allowed them to drip feed what Kurtz was going to be before they even got there. So, like I said earlier, all he has to do is basically just tap it over the goal line. As long as he's weird enough, they're going to, this is what we're being built into. I mean, I think he did more than that, but I just think it was really, really good filmmaking. But what that brings me on to, and you've said about it was a little anticlimactic, Coppola agreed in the first instance because he removed the plantation scenes entirely.
Thank fuck for that.
Because he felt that obviously it didn't go right, and he later talked a bit more about it, said it threw the pacing out and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed.
Now, I like the plantation scenes. I wanted to watch the final cut because I knew that they weren't in the theatrical, because I like the context they give to the war as a whole, and it's just like another point of view that illustrates the absolute futility of that conflict. But I do agree that it is a pacing problem.
Yeah.
And I think
you could have kept some of those. You could have kept a couple of scenes.
You want to see how much they kept in the Redux?
Jesus. Because you're right. That scene at the dinner table.
Yeah.
I was fine with that because there was the with the French guy explaining, this is what we're fighting for. It's like you Americans.
Yeah.
In fact, somebody who is, I can't remember the exact wording that he uses, but it's essentially like literally nothing. Like this is literally pointless. Yeah. There is no purpose, and that I think that's a helpful thing for someone to literally state it, which they are not overtly stating a lot in this movie. Like they let a lot of what's on camera do the talking for you, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it is actually helpful to get someone just to reinforce that from a different perspective. Yeah,
it's a pacing issue though. For me, they needed to find a way of dripping in that context throughout the journey, so you don't get in the way of the journey, so that the ending is much slicker. There's right. We'll find them. We got to Kurtz, and it resolves itself.
Yeah.
Or you do what they did in the first place, and you just cut it out, and you just trust that there's enough left to.
And I haven't really thought about what that would, how that would actually work. Like, what was the scene before?
It's the last outpost on the bridge.
The bridge.
Yeah.
See, I like the bridge bit.
Yeah.
So I think that, I think I would definitely have
Because you basically move from there straight to what is essentially the finale, right?
And maybe you do need something in between that and that.
Yeah.
But not all of that.
Well, you know what you could do? You could watch the original 1979 theatrical release.
Do that, yeah.
It's shorter, you like that?
It is shorter, but not short.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the main things I would change is the pacing.
Yeah, I agree. It
is very much one gear.
I agree.
Throughout. There isn't a lot of fast bits, slow bit. It's quite meandering.
Yeah.
Literally on the...
but it is a fairly consistent pace.
Consistent,
isn't it? Yeah. It settles into a pace, it sticks to it. Until you get to the plantation, you're like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
We're doing something else now.
The opening credits set the tone. Helicopters, not a lot else. That's a bit harsh. I mean, some 3-hour films zip by, right? Like, you can be like, really? That's gone. And I think that's my main source of not enjoying this film, not liking this film, versus, as I say, I've obviously talked a lot about how there are good parts of it, good acting.
Yeah.
Good, it's the fact that there were times where the pace was killing me. Like I had my little notepad next to me watching it, and you see the notes. It's like, I don't care. Kill me now. Make it end. Apocalypse now, more like apocalypse later. That sort of thing.
2.5 hours of saccharine diarrhea from Richard Curtis, no problem. But we stick an extra half an hour on that. And, there's things going on here. There's too many things going on. I can't be dealing with this.
Not too much going on. That's the problem. That was kind of the issue. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like the pacing's important, and sometimes they can zip by. And I know I'm going to be inconsistent, and we'll watch a 3-hour film that's of equally slow pace in the future, and I'll be like, "Oh, it's great! It really gave me time to appreciate things and just."
I don't disagree that it has a pacing problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think the true miracle here is that considering how disjointed the filming was, I didn't spot any continuity errors, which considers like months in between some shots. It's like a bloody miracle.
Or indeed, Martin not Sheen's back.
Yes, yeah, I'm not that familiar with his back, to be honest.
No,
but, you know. He had a good sheen on his face.
He did have a hell of a sheen.
Yeah, but the sets were great. I thought they were really, really good. They really did exploit that cheap local labour.
Oh, didn't they?
And the complete disdain for the environment to maximum effect.
Again, we're talking about the documentary again here, but I couldn't believe they built that temple.
I know, mental, isn't it? You thought they'd just rock up to it and be like, "Oh yeah, this is good. Well, you use this. Yeah." No, we'll just build everything from scratch.
They did the severed heads on the floor.
They just buried the people.
Yeah.
That's just like...
How long will I be in here?
You
8
imagine
hours.
that nowadays, it would just be like, yeah, we'll get makeup to create something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So why am I still here? Brando's just wandering around. Yeah, sorry.
Tell you what, doesn't half look good, though.
It does look good. What did you make of the old bison killing bit right at the end?
Well, now...
or whatever it's
obviously I've seen it before. And then you see it and I go, oh, that's...
Yeah.
And you sort of think, how did they do that? And then you watch the documentary and they go,
do that?
It's dead easy.
Yeah. What you do is you get a machete
and
you just lay into a bison.
So, I mean, besides the obvious, oh, Christ, that's not very nice. Again, you've got to say, fucking hell, it doesn't half hit home when it's on the screen.
Yeah. It's hard to watch. I mean, I'm assuming it's meant to be hard to watch.
Yeah. Really brutal.
So is there anything else you would change apart from maybe a bit on the pacing?
It's just a bit of that pacing, and how do you put that plantation scene in that point of view, that context, without throwing the pacing out? And they might have just got it right the first time with the theatrical release. You know, that's the only thing I would change.
Yep. Yeah, and we know we do recasting for actors. Recasting for director.
Oh God, I don't know enough about that.
So you know who was down to do this originally, right?
Was it Kubrick?
And George Lucas.
Okay, he pops up on the documentary, doesn't he?
Yeah. So they're obviously like busy mates. So
I mean, that would have been a very different film.
Exactly. Like and probably one I would have enjoyed. I would have been like, oh, this is good. Very straight down the middle, but it's good. But yeah, as I say, it would have been. It's one of those like parallel universe things. You would love to know what that film would look like.
It'd be fun to
the
see.
George Lucas version, and I don't know. Who knows what that could be? But
he'd probably do it. Bemoan how crap the visual effects were that he
Redo
used
it
instead
again.
of just doing practical effects like Coppola did, and then bring out a franchise of films afterwards to leverage the increased value of effects.
Apocalypse
and
Now.
Soil all over the franchise.
Apocalypse Now, episode 4. We'll just
Yeah.
hold on, what?
Just absolutely pull the rug out from under itself and turn an entire fandom into bickering.
So, quick sidebar play on words thing. So, say Apocalypse Now was the first in a trilogy of films. Name those other 2 films.
Apocalypse Now, Apocalypse Next.
God.
And you've got to have something about
Apocalypse
finality.
Finally.
Apocalypse Finally, yeah. That's pretty good, yeah.
Then a prequel?
Apocalypse. Not yet. Apocalypse Yesterday. Apocalypse Before.
How are these films not
Apocalypse
been made?
Before. Apocalypse Before. Yeah, for the amount of time it's been parodied.
Yeah.
Somebody must have made that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Right, let's go on to the plot, which I think we've got a fair bit to cover on. I'm going to preface this with saying I don't know anything about Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Like, everything I know about the Vietnam War is what I've learned from the movies I've watched about the Vietnam War, right?
Yeah,
so,
same.
you know, a bit of Full Metal Jacket, a bit of Forrest Gump.
Oh, God, yeah. Which apparently has not aged well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was tempted to look that up the other day.
Everybody I see reviewing it now just basically says what a piece of like right-wing propaganda it is.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I think that you're talking about this in the context of your Vietnam education. I bet that would be a very different on-screen experience when you look at that now to what they put on screen here.
Yeah, I said I watched Platoon as almost like a comparison piece. Very, very different Vietnam film. A lot more.
Yeah.
I don't know, like straight down the middle, like as you'd kind of expect a war-y film of Vietnam. That this film gets across like the pointlessness, the brutality. But what I didn't get from this, and you're going to kill me for it, but I didn't get the tension, like I don't know, that something bad is always around the corner kind of thing necessarily. Which is not to say that there wasn't stuff bad round the corner or stuff that happened, but I don't know, I wasn't sitting there going like...
Well, listen, I can't remember what it feels like the first time I watched it. So maybe I did the first time, maybe I didn't. I didn't either when I was rewatching it. I just don't think that's the point of the film, right? I
Possibly.
think the plot is much more about a slow descent into madness and highlighting the futility of it all, more than it is resolving. Oh, how are they going to get out of this alive? Sort of thing that most war films are predicated on. So I know what you're saying, and I don't disagree. For me, it's just not the point of this film. Yeah.
So go on, talk to me about plot.
Well, so the journey of what I've just said is what is driving this film for me, and I really enjoy that. And something in particular I enjoy about the way in which it chooses to tell that story. It absolutely does not paint the Americans out to be any sort of saviour here in this conflict, right? It also doesn't really show the enemy, right? You have them being blown up, right?
Yeah, from a distance almost.
But we never get any of the battle scenes from their point of view, or we don't really...
I don't think you tend to get that in any war films, though, do you?
I mean, in more
they
sort
tend
of...
to be taken from one point, a perspective of one side or the
Yeah,
other.
but like, I mean, literally, like, you don't really see them fighting. You just see them getting blown up. Like, I can think of one scene where they shoot down one helicopter.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, we just don't see them. They're just like, and I think that's a deliberate thing, because I think it's not the point. We're not trying to actually talk about the two sides of this, right? And we're not trying to dehumanize one side of it. We're not trying to pit one side against the other. We're just trying to show that this is all a fucking waste of time, and that it's just madness and chaos and disorganized and ultimately futile. And I think it's doing it. It's doing that through great set pieces, great characters. And then I've got a list of moments that I'd like to talk about. So, well,
like
okay, if you've nothing else, then let's run through this, and maybe you can join in with your thoughts on each one.
I hope to. We have made this a two-hander, as it were.
Two-hander. Oh.
I wish. Definitely a one-hander.
Oh, my word. Right, well, that's good. I've lost my place in my notes. All right, so there's one quite early on. When we do these podcasts and we watch the films, I struggle a little bit with the ones I don't like because, contrary to the character I like to play and being sniffy and grumpy and all the rest of it.
You like to be happy?
No, I don't like to be happy. I just don't really enjoy actually having to sit through something and purposely try to find all the bad points.
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing it for laughs, it's like, when we're doing the ones that I like, and actually you said the opposite, you prefer the ones where we're doing them when we don't like it.
It's quite fun.
Yeah. When we're doing the ones that I like, I get really excited when I'm watching it. Oh, I've got to write that down. Oh, that's brilliant. I've got to write that down. And then it's often a bit of a difficult task to then try to put my notes in some sort of coherent order.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to try. So I've just got a list.
Oh, good. Go on.
And we can talk down.
I'm just going to zip around.
So there's one that's early on, and it's the general when he's giving him his mission.
Yes.
And he sits down, right, and they're in this fucking house.
Caravan thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, whatever it is. And they're passing around all this massive plate of meat, and he's going,
roast beef.
The roast beef is usually quite good. And he sits down and immediately starts talking about war crimes. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about roast beef for, you dickhead?
It's more of a pork conversation.
Right. And he's saying it to a guy who's going literally mad in his hotel room and has just smashed all his... Like, he's already broken by war. He's useless. He needs to get back out to war to have some purpose.
Almost. Yeah,
to cope. And the roast beef's usually quite good at it. It's like, shut up, you dickhead. And I thought that was... Again, we are not trying to paint the Americans as some sort of saviors here. We're trying to paint them as ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. The whole purpose of the whole mission, right, is basically like, he's getting a bit out of line, isn't he? Let's kill him.
Well, let's jump to that, because I've got a note on that as well. Kurtz, he's not even wrong when he sets out, right? He just thinks there's a better way to do things, right?
Which was proved successful.
And he is effective. But the army don't like that because they can't control him, and it's not their way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They can't deal with the internal and external politics.
I like that. That was the driver of it. That it wasn't just a movie about, we're here to win the war. Like there's other movies that are about that.
So obviously he goes mad, and his methods are not right. But like Kurtz is just trying to win the war. That's essentially what he's trying to do,
or at least was.
Yeah, was when he starts out, and in a sense that makes him a much truer character than all the idiot politicians and generals that send these people off to war. And actually, Kurtz makes that point. He said, the generals are training our young men to drop fire on people, but they won't let them say fuck on the side of their planes because it's obscene. And that's dead right. And that is
still true today. That sort of stuff, though, isn't it?
It's still true today because it is just generally true of war.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And that is the mission that this entire film is predicated on. It's essentially one big MacGuffin, isn't it? The Kurtz mission.
Yeah. It's you have to go from point A to point B, and this is the reason.
Because it's completely meta to the conflict. Like even if it was a real person that they had to do,
exactly. Yeah.
It's not it's not central to the conflict.
Makes no difference.
Actually. Yeah, it's just a vehicle to show you just how absolutely ridiculous the situation is. Then I move on to Kilgore. I mean, Kilgore in general. What can you say? He's just a great character.
Yeah, agreed.
A couple of things I've got. He's cruising around in the helicopter and he's going, won't those people ever give up? As he's mowing them. Like as if he'd give up.
You're invading their country.
Yeah, as if he'd give up. Like if somebody and then he mows them down, and then when they retaliate, he's like, fucking savages. Yeah. What? I beg your pardon? And then hell of a shot when they blow the gun up. It's like, who's the savage here, Just that embodiment, and the film picks up on it as well, because Willard says immediately afterwards, like, if this is what's going on, what's the problem with Kurtz? Like, there's plenty of madness to go around, And I think it's either that scene or it's the first scene where we see Kilgore, where they've just knocked 7 shades of shit out of the village, And then they stand up with a loudspeaker and goes, "We are here to help."
Yeah, and that comes back to like one of the quotes I liked, and I've picked two, so this isn't ruining later. But it's it's a way we had over here for living with ourselves. We cut them in half with a machine gun and give them a Band-Aid. It was a lie. The more I saw of them, the more I hated lies.
Yeah, well, it's right.
It's exactly that though, because you see all these first aid guys trying to patch up these people that they've just like blown to shit and shot for in their little quiet village. You know, it's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. Crazy is the right word for it. I mean, you mentioned earlier Kilgore's line when he goes, "Someday this war is going to end," and he just like pauses. Everybody's looking at him like, "What the fuck do I say to that?" And then he just sort of nods and walks off.
Yeah.
And I mean, the first point is, again, whether this was a happy accident or not, I don't know. First point is, there is nothing to say to that. Right? What can you say to that? They don't want to think like that because they could get blown up later that afternoon.
It did feel a little bit like he'd got the wrong line.
Do you
and
think?
everyone was like...
See, I thought he didn't mean that. And if he did mean it, I also thought, and I think he delivered it like this for me. He delivered it with a reticence, almost like, "Oh, but I hope it doesn't."
Yeah, but that is how it came.
He's saying it regretfully.
How it came across because he's like, someday this war,
so make the most of it, boys.
This war's going to end. Yeah, so come on, make the most of this surfing. Come on,
we've got surfing and killing to do. But I like to wrap up my killing by noon so we can get on the.
And I think that was perhaps the most ridiculous part, wasn't it? Where it was just like. Let's send these boys out on a surfboard while they're getting shelled, basically, because you don't get these waves in anywhere else in Vietnam. Come on, you're doing it. You're just like there's complete lack of awareness or care for the people in his charge. Whilst also then going with the canteen thing that you've already mentioned, like anyone who keeps his guts in with a whatever is gets to drink from my canteen. Like it's just a complete. He's all over the shop.
He is all over the shop
intentionally.
I mean, you mentioned the lack of tension there, and I think the reason I think that's probably deliberate because it is a different film. Is Kilgore embodies this. He's just bulletproof. Nothing's going to happen to him.
He's literally just wandering around like
everyone else is ducking, and he's like, nah.
Yeah.
Because again,
he feels invincible.
It's just that absurdity to it. Like he's just there. He's on his own private power kick or whatever, and it's just crazy.
I mean, just down to the hat, if nothing else.
Oh yeah, and the neckerchief.
Yeah, it's like. All right, you're not worried about bullets.
No,
you're fine.
What about what do you think of the USO absurdity?
USO.
Yeah, so USO is what they called the like the shows they would put.
Oh right, yeah. The bunnies and the crazy. I mean, it's literally a reflection of what the sort of thing happens, right?
Yeah, so I wrote for that. Send in the clowns.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's like we've got some laughs for you, we've got some comedy for you, and there's like here's a funny guy. They still do that now. They still get the comedians to fly in.
Here? We better fund the army. Can we?
You know what they need? A good laugh.
Yeah,
that's all they need. Yeah. And some tits.
No, we can't do any of that. No, but send in the clowns.
Yeah.
But again, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you just you watch that when you look at what they've seen so far, and you go, "Hey, they're doing what?" But they do, and they did, and they still do. It's just crazy.
I did enjoy the lead up to that scene where they're trying to get the supplies and stuff. And, and
more bothered about dispensing the booze than
and he just grabs him, doesn't he? And he sort of looks at him and goes, "Okay, yep, I'll get it. Here's a beer. There you go. Just all good. You're not the usual kind of client we get here. Yeah, carry on."
So you said you liked the bridge then, the last outpost.
I did like that. Yeah, that was one of my favourite scenes, and particularly when they're wandering around looking for the CO. And it's just like...
I knew you were going to say that.
Why?
Because it's one of the best lines in the film.
Oh, right.
When he goes, "Where's your commanding officer? Ain't you?" It's like, there's no fucking CO here.
Yeah, that's it. It's just the realisation that there's no one in charge. Like,
a literal and figurative depiction of it not being clear who is fighting, who they're fighting, and why they're fighting.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact they just keep on when they're saying like the bridge gets blown up every day, and they rebuild it just to say that the road is open.
Yeah,
just so they can say that it's that. So it's that political spin almost of things, which again you see to this day of Just like, why are you doing that? Because it will sound good.
Yeah.
Because it will look good. Because it's a message we can give out. So it won't help. No.
Oh God, no. Yeah, no.
That's not why we're doing this at all.
No,
People are dying. Yeah. But it does allow us to get this message across.
Well, we can't do anything to help. No.
Yeah, crazy.
The last bit I've got on my plot points is on the what I did like about the French colonial bit, and it again is just serving that absurdity narrative. So at this time, the Americans are quite anti-colonial, and they are now in bed with
if you say so.
Colonial. Well, in policy only, if not in actual. But they're now in bed with the French colonials, who obviously laid claim to Vietnam a lot earlier, just because they really hate communism, because they found a bigger thing. And then the other thing I think those scenes are really good at illustrating is the French don't know why they're there either. They can't agree about the politics of the place, what their path forward might be. I think it's the uncle or something is going like, I think we can do something with these guys. And he's like, no, you don't get it. There's nothing to be done. And again, it's just another thing of all they've got is they're just determined not to be forced out. But they don't know why.
They've been here longer.
What it's going to look like.
They've been here. They were here first, basically.
Well, they weren't there before the Vietnamese.
No. But in terms of the Americans,
yeah.
So when are you leaving?
Yeah, it's just again just another thing of like this is just a futile waste of time.
I did switch off quite a bit through these scenes, by the way.
Fair enough. What about your changes then to the plot?
Now, I don't have a way I would change it as such. But the climax...
It's not our job. We just...
Exactly.
You flag the
I flag the problem. I just throw the problem. You fix it. The climax itself, and I'm not talking about the very end bit with the bison, the actual killing of the thing. That was kind of okay. But the arrival at the end point, whatever it was. I don't know. I had a problem with it. I found it a bit underwhelming, which again is maybe the point because it's not meant to be like
you're just supposed to find the madman.
Movie, it's just like we've got to the end point. Look, big thing. I did find Kurtz a little bit underwhelming, but
Coppola didn't love the ending either.
Yeah, I feel like they could have. I don't know what it was because again in Heart of Darkness they mentioned like the script, the guy who wrote the script had said how he'd written it, which was quite repetitive of his previous scene essentially, where they they come together, they're fighting together. I think and then it like turns into
it's supposed to be a big battle.
And it felt like it maybe needed something a bit more. There'd be a bit more of something a bit bigger, but. Based on everything that you've been saying as well to date, like, it's not going to do the big thing because it's all very much on a lower key. And demonstrating that. But
and this is it. What would you do without then cheapening the point of what we've been moving towards? Yeah. The only thing I would do, which we touched on in production, is I think if you do take the plantation scenes out, we at least move on to that thing a bit quicker, and I think it lands a bit better. When you've not had that sort of, I don't know how long the plantation scenes are, like 20 minutes or something? You've not had that 20-minute period where you essentially decompress a bit, and then you're like, all right, okay. No,
I mean, I do think if I had rewatched the theatrical version as part of this, I would have liked it more, probably, and had less issue with it.
We'll get you there.
And a little bit, I think, having just thought for 12 seconds just then, which is a long time for me.
Yeah. This is how Coppola made the film, to be fair.
Oh, you know what? I'm just going to type this out on my typewriter. Hold on. Yeah. If Kurtz wasn't actually massively insane and driven crazy, and he was still had a hold on reality, I think that might have been more interesting as well, that he hadn't lost complete detachment with reality, and that didn't make any sense.
I know what you mean.
Lost detachment with reality.
Yeah.
And then there's that bigger decision of like, hold on, like I've got a job here to do, but actually this is really doesn't make any sense because he's still kind of compos mentis, and what he's doing here makes a little bit of of sense, and I can see that, but I have to do what I've been told to do, and there'd be a little bit more of him seeing him and going like, I could get on board with this guy, but should I not? I don't know. I kind of see his point of view. He didn't ever really seem Willard to be like, oh no, I get it. Yeah, I could become this photographer dude who's kind of fallen for it all. He doesn't seem to.
He wouldn't become the photographer. He would become, because he's a man of action like Kurtz. He would become Kurtz. I think that wouldn't work at all. I don't think, if he's going to become the photographer. No,
but it's saying like, or even like, not necessarily as a sycophant, but if he was drawn to him and going like, oh, actually, I can see your point. I could come aboard it, and seeing that.
Well, for me, I thought there was a bit of that. I just thought the difference between the two of them was Willard just hung on to enough humanity. And maybe that was just a matter of time, right? I think the thing is, the reason I would keep Kurtz mental, essentially, is because you're trying to almost say it is inevitable that everybody is gonna come out of this. If you're
here long enough.
Yeah, you've done this journey and things got worse and worse. They had a bit, didn't they, earlier on, where we need to give you some more information about your mission. Somebody had a mission previous to yours. Yeah. And we received a thing saying he's gone back. Maybe he was there too long, and he did make that switch to go. And so Willard's got that information, and he gets to go, no, I've got to get out of here. Yeah. Because he does make a few observations like that.
That's what I felt. I feel like if you cut out the plantation scene, you could spend longer in that climactic thing where he has to go through a bit more of his journey.
Yeah,
whilst in the presence of Kurtz.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that would have made it a bit more satisfying for me at the end. I had a really good idea for a second then, but it's completely gone.
Maybe it'll come back to you.
No, it won't. That's it. I'm lying. It's probably made up.
When I was thinking about recasting Sheen, who else could have done that? I was struggling, and it wasn't until I looked at villains, like who's played villains, that I was like, no, it makes much more sense now. Because he is already broken, we see him in the hotel room, he needs to get back into the thing. And he is essentially dispatched to kill someone. And for me, he does flirt with becoming what Kurtz might have ended up as, what he did end up as. He just manages to pull himself away from it. But he still leaves an incredibly broken man as well.
Question for you. Just something I maybe didn't 100% get. So on the voiceover and the narration when he's going through like Kurtz's journey, which he sort of goes through at various points through the film, and he's basically saying like, he was basically set up to be an officer. He's being groomed to be like head honcho. But then he actively chose to take the different route and go down like the green beret route or whatever, and do like something.
Didn't want to be moved upstairs.
Yeah.
He needed to get back out of the field.
Just because he wants to be kept within the action. Okay.
Because he was so.
I did get that then. That's good.
Yeah, he was so wedded to the cause. Like at the start of it, like I said, he's not even necessarily wrong. He's so wedded to the cause. He just thinks it's a better way. He doesn't like the idea of being moved upstairs. Man of action. Put me back in, coach.
Yep. Okay, so did we move on to our penultimate section of This Is Why You're Wrong? Or it's our closing statements, and we find out whether our needle has been moved. So, Carl, over to you.
Okay, so this is an epic, right? And I hate the idea of calling it a war film, because war film is such a broad classification.
It is.
And if this film has a message, and I think it does, it is actually very much an anti-war film, right? I think, for me, it achieves that in a way that I don't think I've seen in other anti-war films. And we've talked about this a bit, about the lack of those tension, the lack of those the danger in those combative scenes that most war films are predicated upon. I think the way it's chosen to do it, it's got this MacGuffin that we're following through with our protagonist in Willard. He's not even really he's not an active protagonist, right? The things are just happening around him. He's an observer. And that's what we're doing in this film. We're just observing madness and how that affects people that are exposed to that madness. So I think that's a really interesting and clever way of telling an anti-war film. With that being said, I still think it has that great quality that really good films have. And we've talked a bit about this might come over better in a shorter cut, you can still just take it for just a war film because there are so many great set pieces in it, and the practical effects are fantastic. They're up there with any war film. Some of those scenes. So I think to round that out, whichever way you want to take it, the production is so good. The performances are absolute top draw, and I think it's really easy to see why it's had such a lasting impact on cinema history.
All right, over to me. So I came into this, as I said, watched it first time around the theatrical cut, and I struggled a bit. I think if I had rewatched the theatrical cut this time, I would have certainly come into this at least on the ambivalent side of things, right? So up a bit, just because I think the pacing it wouldn't have been as big an issue for me, which was the main problem I had, which caused me to actually not enjoy watching this film and it to be a bit of a struggle. What I've really enjoyed as part of this is actually talking about it and the bits in depth, and actually, we've basically covered a lot of positive parts of this, and it on reflection, it's apparently it's a really I was going to say well-made film. It's a terribly made film. It's a really good. The result is perfect.
The process, Jesus.
It's definitely. I mean, no one could call this a bad film. Like, it's not bad. There are parts that left me unmoved. There are parts that I found a little bit anticlimactic. But having talked through this, I think
we got a wobble.
I'm definitely moving towards the more, look, I didn't enjoy watching this. I've enjoyed talking about it. I've enjoyed reflecting on it. And I can appreciate it more from a distance.
Yeah.
Again now. So I think I'm probably moving towards that ambivalent side, the ambivalent score in the middle there, because it's like I didn't enjoy it, but it was really good. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean. Yeah, it makes sense. I have a load of films that I wouldn't necessarily rewatch, but could probably still say, I did quite like it though. I just, for reasons, don't really see myself rewatching it anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think
it's just a different way to express a similar point, right? Yeah,
from my limited appreciation of the medium and stuff, like you can objectively look at this and go, look, it's an impressive piece of cinema. Like, I would encourage people to watch it because of that, and I think you need to watch it to it almost does fall into that classic field in terms of, because it's so well referenced, because it's so part of culture and stuff. Actually, you should watch this to see the original of it and see where it comes from. So,
if only to understand the memes better.
If only to understand that, and to know that there is extra lines between "I love the smell of napalm in the morning," "It smells like victory."
The whole hill just covered in gasoline. Yeah.
So I think we'll have to say that you have movied my needle, or at least the process has of going through this.
We'll take that as a win.
There we go. All right, let's finish things up with the data section. So as always, we'll look at a few of the ratings that are around. Unsurprisingly, they're pretty high. The IMDb 8.4, which is high. You don't get much higher than that. It's got to be in the top, I don't know, 40, 50, definitely, if not higher. I forget. I did look at this. I just can't remember. 94 Metascore. I mean, you can see why the critics like this. Like, it's definitely critic bait.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and can you imagine that after they've watched the documentary as well, jizzing themselves into a stupor, like, oh my God, incredible, it got made.
Exactly. 4.4 on Letterboxd, which
that's high.
Very high for Letterboxd.
That is high.
So, you did tend to see that a bit low. That's actually higher than IMDb in terms of.
Yeah, it's also higher than I'm going to score it.
Really. I really like this film. 3.
I really like this film. It's a piece of cinematic history. 2.5.
So what would you score it on your out of 5 scale?
As you know, I don't like to do my rating and review until after we've recorded the podcast for these, but I will rate it, I think, as a 4-star
with a heart?
I think I will heart it, yeah. I think I will heart it. I'll think on that a little more when I actually come to do the review, but we're in that territory. It's not going below a 4. I couldn't put it below a 4.
Yeah, I mean, I was on I was thinking, coming into this, I was like, 2.5. That's where the range I was. I think it's going to be more probably the 2.5. No heart, though, I would say.
Yeah, no heart.
No heart for me.
You can't heart a film you're ambivalent about.
Well, no, you can't.
You can't like a film you're ambivalent about.
No, I suppose that would make no sense at all. No.
Trying to disconnect your objective analysis of it.
Yes.
To your feelings about something.
Yeah.
And failing, obviously, and getting cross wires and all the rest of it.
Oh, yeah, I'm a very confused person.
Yeah.
In many ways. What about rewatchability, Carl? Will you rewatch this? Well, and let's split this between, would you rewatch, which version would you rewatch if you would rewatch it?
Do you know what?
Redux?
I was going to say no. Well, so the first time I ever watched this film, I watched Redux.
Oh, did? Have you seen the theatrical then?
Yeah, so I've seen a while ago. I've seen the theatrical, and I was like, they've cut out the plantation scenes. There's another scene with the Playboy bunnies they've cut out. Let me tell you, we're not missing that. That doesn't matter. So that's why I wanted to watch Final Cut. I did come into this thinking, I don't think I am going to say it's rewatchable, because it is long, and it is a bit...
maybe once every 10 years.
Yeah, something like that. But... such did I enjoy writing up my notes and then talking about it.
Yeah.
I think I probably would rewatch it, yeah. I think I could see myself banging on, probably do the theatrical version next, and bang that on some point in the near future. What about you?
I'll tell you what, it'd have to be when Emma was out. She is not a fan. I mean, I've written "Dear God, no," just in terms of the. I mean, I didn't enjoy the process of watching it. I enjoyed talking about it a lot more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it'll be high on the rewatch, but pretty low. Not to say I wouldn't rewatch it again, and not to say I wouldn't rewatch the theatrical version if I did that. But I think a good gap in that to reflect on it again, certainly. Your best scene, Carl?
Well, there's no bar scene to speak of here. And tempted as I was to pick the hotel scene where he's got a bottle of 33 beer.
Does that count?
A beer which I was sure I'd had, and when I checked was devastated to find out I haven't had it. And now I must have it. Yeah. But no, my best scene is Kilgore's mission to blow up the village. I really liked that scene, mostly because it's all about Kilgore. It's so cool. What about yours?
Yeah, mine was at the bridge where they're trying to find the CEO.
That last up. That's a great scene again.
Really liked it.
Yeah, great scene.
Quotes, Carl. You going to go obvious?
Well, if I was going to go obvious, and it wouldn't be the napalm one, it'd be the "Charlie, don't surf." I just thought it was brilliant. It's pretty hot in there. It's Charlie's, but Charlie, don't surf.
See, I'm not going for. Well, I don't even know if this counts, right? Can you choose a voiceover thing as your favourite line? It's not even a part of the thing.
You can.
But it's the "never get off the boat."
Yeah, well,
absolutely goddamn right.
So my other honourable mention was, as we've already mentioned, who's the commanding officer here? Ain't you? There ain't no fucking CEO here. Yeah, but my best line is that.
Yeah.
And the delivery on that
is
line.
So good. I'm just going to use absolutely goddamn right all the time now as well. And see if anyone goes, Apocalypse Now?
Yeah, they probably will. They definitely will if you preface it with never get out of the boat.
Yeah, but when would I? That's going to be quite a thing.
Metaphorical, isn't it?
Or you'd be on holiday. Just on a pedalo. Never get off the boat.
I don't know, like somebody changes like a working practice at work. We're having problems with this since we switched to the never get off the boat. Yeah. And you can follow it through with the full thing, not unless you're going to go all the way. No, yeah, fantastic. I loved that line.
Favourite character I've got a feeling is fairly predictable with the Kilgore.
It's got to be Kilgore, hasn't it?
I'll give Chef the honourable mention here. I think he, as a secondary character, I thought, I really enjoyed watching him and good. and lost his head at the end, but
he did lose his head. There's so many though. I think it's chock full of them. I mean, my second place would have actually been Willard. I thought I really liked him, but yeah, Kilgore.
I think going for the main character is always cheating though.
Yeah, it is a bit. So that's why neither of us have said love the smell of napalm in the morning. I suppose.
Well, exactly. I think also because that quote is so ingrained, but the paraphrase version.
Yeah.
That actually the paraphrase version works better in terms of just as a quote itself.
Snappy.
Yeah, snappiness. Tearjerker. Did you cry, Carl?
No,
it's not.
It's not that sort of film.
It's not going to be, is it?
No.
Unless you, I don't know, a Vietnamese maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. No, I don't think it's that sort of film. No tears this week from me. No tearjerker.
Absolutely not, I reckon.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely goddamn not. Jerker, gratuitous nudity. Well, yes.
Well, here's a question for you. When is nudity not gratuitous? Don't give me the definition of gratuitous, because I know that would say, well, when it's required.
It is.
Right? But in an artistic sense, when is it required?
No.
Because we can't just say...
There is nudity.
You can't just take a blanket statement and go...
Yeah, whenever it's...
There's no nudity should ever be in films, because you can always do something different. There's a point where it's going to serve the film, right?
How it feels, though, isn't it? It's how it feels. Yeah. You just because the bit that stands out, right, is the... and I think there's actually two good examples of maybe where there is gratuitous and not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the gratuitous bit for me was the French plantation extended scene bit where...
Yeah, that's fair enough.
She's just stripping off and
Yeah.
walking around and stuff, which again, you could do that in a different way and it would do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Now, the bit of kind of male nudity, which I think is perfectly fine and suited to the film, is the bit in the hotel where he's going crazy. And he's being dragged off to the shower. You get the arse. You get a hint of cock.
You do. You get a little slither of cock. I'm surprised you haven't been hotter on that, to be honest with you.
Just freeze framed it.
Yeah.
Screensaver. So I think that I had no problem with that, because it's kind of like he's a crazy man in a hotel room who's obviously
he's
naked.
bottoming out. Yeah. He's absolutely I agree.
And then equally, like when the soldiers have got the Playboy centerfolds and stuff and holding those up and stuff, it's like, well, no, because that's what they would do. That's the same.
So I think we have to say yes on account of the French plantation scene.
I would say yes
but
for
we're
that.
giving the other bit a pass.
Yes, I'd say not gratuitous. Definitely a jerker though.
Afraid so.
Right. So, do you want to do Coppola filmography?
Yeah, well, Coppola filmography, I realised I've only seen 4 Francis Coppola films.
What I realised when I looked through the Coppola filmographies and made fuck all since this that was any good.
I think he had is it The Rainmaker or something? That's
The Rainmaker, yeah, which he made to pay the bills. Yeah.
Got a reasonably good rating.
That's the Matt Damon. Is that a Grisham?
I don't know. Honestly, I've not seen it. That wasn't one of the 4 I've seen.
I think I might have seen it. Have you seen Captain EO?
No, I've seen literally the Godfather trilogy.
You know what Captain EO is, right?
No.
It's like the Michael Jackson short 3D thing that they had on like a Universal or Epcot Center or something. It's great.
Fair enough.
It's like 25 minutes long.
It's like before a ride or something. You go watch the actual film. Right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, not seen it. I've seen. So
the Godfather Part 2, Godfather Part 3,
and then this.
Not The Conversation.
No. Yeah, that was the other one that jumped out on his list, though. I thought I've heard of that. But...
It's good. You should definitely watch The Conversation.
So, I mean, if I was going to rank them...
So you've ranked your
because I've only got
films
4,
you've seen.
This, for me, is fighting it out with The Godfather Part 1 at the top. I mean, I'd probably go Godfather Part 1.
You Part 1 over Part 2?
Yeah, I am Part 1 over Part 2.
I've struggled to separate them too much, to be honest.
I mean, that's fair enough. They filmed them nearly back-to-back as well, and there is a clear line of threaded continuation through them. Although I do have issues with the second one. It's still great, but, no, I don't subscribe to the school of thought that that's one of the examples where the sequel is better than the first. So, yeah, this is vying for top spot. Other than that, yeah, I have no list because I've just not seen enough.
Yeah, I mean, you should definitely get The Conversation on your watch list there, because that was genuine. Again, that was one I watched as part of like getting through the IMDb top 100, and that was one you can't take my eyes off of that one.
Oh, bloody had it right
did
now.
Enjoy it. So it's just below The Godfather and Godfather Part 2, which I can't really separate.
Yeah, fair enough.
Then Conversation, then Captain EO. Godfather Part 3, I'm struggling to really remember The Godfather Part 3 because I saw it quite a long time ago and I've not revisited it for some time.
I'll defend it a little bit. It is not as bad as it gets the stick for. It doesn't warrant all that stick. I think that is just in part a natural reaction to go, oh my God, this is nowhere near as good as Part 1 and 2. I quite enjoy the third for what it is. But it's not going to be
spoiler in the Coda title, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think by this point...
Dies, does he? Jeez, right.
I think by this point everybody is like reasonably well... If you've watched 1 and 2, the film's what, coming up 30 years old now.
Yeah.
You probably have the gist of the plot, even if...
And the other thing that stood out when I was looking through the Coppola filmography is he's not done anything for ages. And I was looking into it because he's been trying to make one film since the 90s and he's self-funded it, all of it. He's actually shot the thing.
Well, in that sense...
Megalopolis.
Oh, okay.
Bloody awful name.
Yeah. In that sense...
Sounds like a nice lolly.
He really is sort of... It would sound terribly wanky. He really is a true artist, isn't he? Because he's trying to...
I've got
no
time for artists.
No, I know what you mean. It comes with all the problems that were laid oh so bare in Hearts of Darkness. But he's very much of the opinion of this is a passion first and a job second. Whereas other directors will, they take the jobs that the studio offers them and they'll make the films and that they're told to and yada yada yada. Sometimes directors get the chance to have their pick. Because they are wildly successful, and sometimes you've got to go through what Coppola goes through to get it made.
Yeah, and I think again, speaking of the Hearts of Darkness thing, he openly said "Look, I made Godfather and Godfather Part 2. I could basically do whatever the fuck I liked."
Yeah, well, that was nearly very not true, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he's 85 now, right? 85. I don't know if you've got any 85-year-olds in your life, Carl.
I haven't.
If you could imagine. That person you don't have, but I've got a 90-plus-year-old granddad, right? Imagine him directing a film. Mental.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. So when you said that, I hadn't connected that. No, wait, he is still working.
He's making this film. It's in post. God knows how long. I mean, post. I mean, whether it'll last that long.
And he was crazy then.
Yeah.
So.
I saw pictures of him. I didn't even recognise that was the same person either. He's always that big beardy fat guy.
Yeah. What's his relation to Nick Cage?
Uncle,
right? Or Nicholas Coppola, as he actually is.
Yes, and same with Jason Schwartzman and
okay,
a few other people
right.
of that.
And then Sophia's his daughter.
Yes.
Who is a terrible actress in Godfather Part 3.
But directed.
A wonderfully talented director in Lost in Translation.
All right, let's wrap this up. I've written top 5 war films because I struggle to separate
top
them.
5? Well, I've got 3.
You can do 3. You can do 3.
I got 3. So, again, this is I don't like this categorization because it is difficult.
So broad. Yeah, it's very broad, especially because I cheat and I go give me some ideas, Google. Top war films. You're like, is that a war film? I suppose it's got war in it, or it's about set during a war, but it's not necessarily a war film.
I do that too. So I have loads of. I grew up watching loads of black and white films, especially a lot of war films. Obviously, they're very much straight down the line in what they're trying to do, and then you've got Hollywood examples of that now. If you look at your Saving Private Ryans and stuff like that, I sort of veered away from those because I haven't rewatched a lot of those in quite a while, and to try put those in some sort of order is really difficult. So I've stuck with what I think are more along the anti-war things. Now, I haven't put these in any order, but Dunkirk's at the top.
Shock.
No, and I think Dunkirk fell flat for a lot of people because they were expecting that sort of war film. And actually, I wouldn't call Dunkirk a war film. I think it's solely focused on survival. That is an absolute survival.
It's set during a war, right?
Film, that is using war as a backdrop. Then the other film I've got in here, and again, I can't decide on an order on this. I've got All Quiet on the Western Front.
The
new one. I haven't seen the original.
Okay.
I will watch it at some point. I toyed with the idea of putting 1917 in here because I really enjoyed watching that. I thought that was
Sam
very
Mendes,
tense.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And
it's not actually one shot, but it's shot to look like one shot. I thought that was a fantastic result in the way it drags you through the film. And I actually rated that higher than All Quiet on the Western Front. I only rated All Quiet on the Western Front at 3.5 on Letterboxd. However, much in the same way that you've talked about this one, All Quiet on the Western Front is the one that stuck with me, and I enjoy thinking about that and talking about that one a lot more than 1917.
If you didn't necessarily enjoy it, the watching experience. Yeah.
I think that is just a fabulous film when I think about it. I mean, I almost dare not rewatch it in case you go, oh no, I was right the first time. So I've got that in, and then I'm actually going with this one. So my 3 are Dunkirk, Apocalypse Now, and All Quiet on the Western Front.
Okay. So I've got a few. So there's a couple that I'm like, did these even count things?
Yeah.
So Schindler's List.
Yeah,
Not really a war film.
Toyed with that. Great film though.
Yeah, great film. But I think when we're talking war film, doesn't count for the
people and politics again, isn't it? That film.
Exactly. A lot of films are about people, I suppose.
Well, that's true.
So I've got Full Metal Jacket,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. I did enjoy that. So these are based on what I've rated them, and therefore trusting my past opinions. I put Hacksaw Ridge on there.
Yeah, not seen it.
Yeah, it got me, that one.
Andrew
Garfield,
isn't it? Yeah. Don't think that's going to be to my cup of tea, but we shall see.
No, it's probably a bit too commercial.
I'll watch it at some point.
For your liking. And I've got The Hurt Locker as the third one. Seen that?
No.
Very good. Enjoyed it.
Again, I feel like that might be a bit sort of Hollywoody blockbustery type thing. Which I enjoy plenty of films like that. They're just not necessarily the ones I'll put to the top of the watch list.
And then the only other one I put on there was Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
Again, that's a film I enjoyed. You see what I mean?
Me too.
It's not a... and I think when I was looking through the ratings for these, it's hard to enjoy war films.
Yeah.
By the very sense of what the subject matter is, right? But yeah, I think Inglourious Bastards would definitely be one that you enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed that too.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, just on war films. Oh no, I've forgotten the film I was going to mention. I was going to ask you about a film. Never mind. We'll cut that out. We'll leave it in. Fuck it.
All right. So that is all we've got. So if we moved the needle for you, or even if we didn't, please get in touch with us by email at hello@mtnpod.com. Our Twitter and Instagram is MTN MoviePod, and you can also find our page on Facebook and TikTok and all that stuff, which can be found in the show description. So from me and Carl, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.
And who knows, next week we might be discussing Halloween and A Nightmare on Elm Street. The horror.
I forget about this every time.